Much too often we study the Torah's storyline, thinking about the men that are involved. Today, let's look at the women, in particular the storyline between Sarai and Hagar. Hi, this is Barry Phillips with 10 Minute Torah, day number 4, the Torah portion, Lecha, which means go out to yourself, go out for yourself. So let's go to chapter number 16 and begin reading with verse 1. And Sarai, Avram's wife, had borne him no child. And she had a Mitzrayim female servant whose name was Hagar. And Sarai said to Avram, See, Yahweh has kept me from bearing children. Please go into my female servant. It might be that I am built up by her. And Abraham listened to the voice of Sarai. And Sarai, Avram's wife, took Hagar, her female servant, the Mitzrayim, and gave her to her husband Avram to be his wife, after Avram had dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan. He went into Hagar, and she conceived. When she saw that she had conceived, her mistress, that is, Sarai, was despised in her eyes. Wow. What a tragic storyline. I want to talk about the storyline and some perceptions and insights that I've gained over the years, thinking about what must have been going on through the eyes of these two ladies, these two women. If we go back one chapter to chapter 15 of Bereshit or Genesis, and look at verses 2 through 4, we read, And Avram said, he's speaking to Yahweh, Master Yahweh, what would you give me, seeing I go childless, and the heir of my house is Eleazar of Damascus? And Avram said, See, you have given me no seed, and see, no one born in my house is my heir. Verse 4, And see, the word of Yahweh came to him, saying, This one is not your heir, but he who comes from your own body is your heir. He said that Avram would father the child, but he didn't say that it would be through Sarai. I have to ask, Yah, wasn't that bit of information important? If Yah had just clarified, the child that is to be your heir is to come from the union of you and your wife Sarai. Just that phrasing would have staved off a lot of the pain and the turmoil of chapter number 16. So let's look at Hagar and understand how this happened. According to the rabbinical midrash on this, when Sarai went down with her husband Avram and Lot to Mitzrayim, or to Egypt, because of a famine, during their time there, Pharaoh spied Sarai, later known as Sarah, and wanted her. She was exceptionally beautiful, and after all, Avram said, She's my sister. So he took her into his harem. Well, as the storyline unfolds, then the mystery of who Sarai is really comes out. Pharaoh sends Avram, Sarai, Lot away with an increase of goods, and the Midrash says that as a part of that payment, then Pharaoh gave his daughter Hagar, who was his daughter through a concubine, into the hands of Sarai as a blessing, as a gift. Now one would surmise, this is a guess, this is not a doctrine, this is simply a thought, plausible thought, and a guess, that Pharaoh, taking a concubine, would have chosen a beautiful woman for that role. Chances are, one might surmise, one might guess well, is that the daughter of such a woman might be lovely as well. In other words, Hagar was probably a very pretty, if not beautiful woman. Was she in competition looks-wise to Sarai? Have no idea. But Sarai had had gained a large reputation as a beautiful woman, an exceptionally beautiful woman, and yet she was without child. So for all of her beauty and for all of the fact that her name, Sarai, means princess, she's barren. So she says, in her own estimation, for whatever reason, Yah has kept me from bearing a child. It's Yah's choice. It's not my fault. It's not Abram's fault. It's Yah's choice. So perhaps I need to act in faith here and give Hagar, who has been given to me, perhaps for this purpose. Here, Avram, take this beautiful, young, exotic, perhaps foreign woman into your arms, love her as a wife, and have our child through her. Perhaps too quickly, Avram says, okay. I got to tell you, modern wives would not go for this plan. It would never enter into their mind. But we're talking about a different time, a different culture, and a different people with different desperations. So Hagar, her name means flight or one who flees, and she proves that to be true. She is also a Mitzrite, a Mitzrian, one of the Egyptian culture, the place of binding, besieging, confinement, a cramped place. So we're taking one who is the heir of the covenant, or the one who possesses the covenant, who's trying to produce the heir of the covenant. And we're mixing those promises of the covenant and those that are clinging to the world. The only possible end result is Ishmael. A problem, and it's still a problem to this day. So in verse 4, when we see that Sarai has become despised in Hagar's eyes, we see then the one of the world competing for the favor of the covenant looks at the one that is chosen and despises her, saying, maybe I'm the real princess. I'm the one that Yah is using to fulfill his promises. Ishmael and his descendants still believe that to this day. The word for despise here is the word kalal, Q-A-L-A-L, kalal. To be slight, to be trifling, to be of little account, to be light in the eyes. And so Sarai is being looked on with disdain by Hagar, and Hagar has caught an attitude. And so she comes complaining to her husband, Sarai, to Avram, and saying, this outrage against me is your fault. You brought this on, perhaps, she was saying. When we went down to Mitzrayim, you said I was your sister, and I ended up in Pharaoh's court, and we ended up bringing this woman home, and it's all your fault. To which Abram is probably crying out, what did I do? You're the one that gave me this beautiful woman to be my wife, and I can't help it if she got pregnant and you didn't. You deal with her as you would desire. Hagar, hearing those words, whether you like the role that she plays in this or not, you have to know that that cut her to her heart. I've given myself to you, old man, and now I'm bearing your child, and now you just see me as a servant. I thought I was your wife. Sarai is low, and Hagar is low, and they're both brokenhearted. Which reminds me of Yochanan, or John chapter number 4, where Yeshua met another woman in very similar circumstances, brokenhearted, cast aside, and of a hard, low opinion of herself. Yeshua specializes in finding us at our lowest place. If you're low, if you're hurting, and your estimation of yourself or your situation is not very high, Yeshua is looking for you, and he's there to raise you up. Be lifted up today. More tomorrow. To then, shalom.